Long before the first rooster crowed, Alara's eyes opened to the deep indigo of a sleeping world. It was not the sun that woke her, but the heavy, silent knowledge of the day ahead, washing day. A monthly ritual that draped itself over her shoulders like a sodden cloak, its weight as familiar as it was draining. In the stillness, her mind drifted to the stories her own grandmother had told of women in distant cities, women who fed their linens into humming metal beasts that churned and steamed, returning them clean and soft in the span of a single song. To Alara, such an idea was as fantastical as a dragon, a luxury so profound it felt like a different kind of magic altogether. She pushed back the thin wool blanket, the chill of the clay-tiled floor seeping into her bare feet. In the main room, the mountain of soiled fabric waited, a testament to a month of living. The scent of wood smoke, sweat, and earth clung to the pile, a tangible history of their lives. Soon her children would stir, their small hands helping to gather the linens into baskets, a quiet, communal preparation for the exhaustion to come. Cleanliness here was not merely about appearance. It was a measure of a woman's virtue, a public declaration of her family's moral standing. A stain on a sheet was a stain on her character. As she lifted the first armful of heavy, damp cloth, the ghost of her grandmother's voice whispered to her from memory, a lesson learned at this very same task. Endurance is not a single great feat, child, the old woman had said, her own hands gnarled from a lifetime of labor. It is found in the thousand small tasks you complete without breaking. Alara took a deep breath, the pre-dawn air filling her lungs with resolve. The sun was beginning to bleed light at the edge of the horizon, and the river was calling. The river was a ribbon of liquid silver in the morning light, its banks already alive with the rhythmic percussion of a dozen wooden bats striking wet cloth against smooth, gray stones. Alara settled into a familiar hollow between two roots, the cold of the earth seeping through her skirts as she plunged her first bundle into the water. A sharp gasp escaped her lips as the icy current wrapped around her wrists, a shock that quickly faded into a dull, persistent numbness. All along the bank, women knelt like a congregation at prayer, their backs bent to the work, their hands moving in the ancient, practiced dance of scrub and wring and beat. Despite the bone-deep chill, a festive energy hummed through the air. Laughter rippled from one group to the next, punctuating the steady thump-thump-thump of labor. Stories were traded like currency, news of a birth in the next village, the scandal of a merchant's wayward son, a recipe for a new stew. For a few hours, the riverbank became the heart of the community, a place where burdens were shared as freely as the gossip, transforming the grueling chore into a social reprieve. Alara found a smile touching her own lips as she listened, the shared camaraderie a small fire against the water's cold. Her focus, however, was soon claimed by a single stubborn foe. From her basket she drew her prized linen sheet, a relic from her wedding chest. Across its center bloomed a dark, ugly stain, the remnant of a spilled pot of berry preserves. She soaped it thoroughly with the cake of hard, tallow-based soap, working the paste into the fibers. Then she began the real work, folding the fabric over the flat river stone and pounding it with her wooden bat, the thwack echoing dully. Over and over she turned and soaked and beat the linen, the mechanical action a test of pure friction against the defiant mark. The river itself seemed to be her partner in the purification, its ceaseless flow carrying away the dirt and the suds, the very essence of the stain. The water was both a tool and a symbol, washing clean not just the cloth but the spirit of the labor, turning hardship into a ritual of renewal. Yet after what felt like an age, the stain remained, a faint but mocking shadow. A flicker of despair touched her heart, a reminder of the unforgiving nature of this pre-industrial life where a single mistake could mar something precious. And the only solution was endless, back-breaking effort. She took a deep breath, dipped the sheet once more, and raised her bat again, her jaw set with a weary determination. The river's chill still clung to Alara's bones as she returned to the cottage, but the true test of her endurance was only just beginning. The sodden linens, now heavy with clean river water, were laid aside as she turned her attention to the hearth. Here, fire would complete what water had started. She carefully poured rainwater into her largest iron pot, the one reserved for this final, purifying act. Into the water, she sifted a bucket of wood ash saved from the winter's fires, the fine gray powder clouding the liquid. This was her lie, a caustic gift from the hearth itself, the only weapon she possessed to scour the deepest grime and slaughter the tiny pests that nested in the woolens. As the pot began to simmer over the rekindled flames, a low, roiling boil started, and Alara added the first load of laundry with a long wooden paddle. The clothes submerged into the murky, ash-clouded water, and she watched as the heat worked its slow, invisible magic. Steam, carrying the sharp, alkaline scent of the lye, rose to coat the low ceiling beams. This was the deep clean, the final assault on the stubborn ghosts of stains and the unseen life that burrowed into fibers. She stirred the pot slowly, her movements rhythmic and practiced, a priestess tending a ritual fire. The boiling would not only cleanse but sanitize, a necessary brutality in a world without other defenses. After a long steaming hour, she lifted the clothes from the pot, their fibers now loose and open. The rinsing began, a task of equal patience. She carried bucket after bucket of fresh water from the rain barrel, plunging and agitating the linens in a series of tubs until the water ran clear, all trace of the harsh life finally gone. Her prized linen sheet, the one that had defied her at the river, emerged from its final rinse without a shadow of the berry stain, its whiteness a small, hard-won victory. Outside, the sun had climbed to its zenith, pouring generous, golden light onto the patch of grass behind her cottage. Here she spread the clean, wet garments, laying them flat upon the green blades. The sun and the grass would work in concert now, the one to dry and gently bleach, the other to lend its fresh, green scent. She watched as the breeze gently billowed through a shift, and the sight was a quiet poem of domesticity. Later, with the laundry dry and smelling sweetly of sunlight and wind, she brought the smoothest, flattest stone from the hearth, heated just enough to be warm to the touch. Wrapping it in a scrap of soft cloth, she began to press the wrinkles from her best apron, the heat releasing the last vestiges of dampness and leaving the fabric crisp. Her mind drifted to the soapwort that grew near the wood's edge, and the other plants her grandmother had taught her to use, each one a piece of a forgotten craftsmanship that relied entirely on the earth's own ingenuity.